Hi, I'm Liron Cohen.
And I'm Mimi Torchin.
And you're listening to Lady Parts TV, the podcast.
Whee!
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the final Lady Parts TV podcast of the year, 2018.
Wow.
It's exciting.
Another year has come and gone.
And we survived. The world hasn't exploded
Just
yet.
Just barely.
And with that good feeling of cheer, let's start with the stats. We tallied 23 shows. 12 were written or co-written by women, which is 52%. That's fine.
Pretty good.
But directed only 26%. Wah, wah. Wah, wah. Anyway, we have a lot of movies to talk to you about because this is movie season. But we also have a couple of shows. Mm-hmm. But let's get started with one of our favorite movies of the season by far.
Absolutely. And we didn't see it till way at the end.
Yes, and by the way, we have posted our Golden Globes nomination vlog on our YouTube page. And you can, of course, look for it on our website as well. And we go through all of the nominations there and talk a lot about movies, some of the movies that we are talking about today, in terms of the nominations and the awards and who we think should win. So check that out as well.
Because you want to know.
You want to.
Who we think should win.
So Can You Ever Forgive Me is in theaters now. It was directed by Marielle Heller and written by Nicole Holofcener and Jeff Whitty.
Yay.
And by the way, it lacked some nominations. And this is one of the only big movies that were
that was
very well recognized and also was directed by a woman and co-written by a woman. So very much
let's hope Oscar time,
there.
Although I don't think it will happen.
Anyway, this is starring Melissa McCarthy in her first seriously dramatic role.
Really
she's
serious.
She's up until now has been a comedic actress, and she's truly showing in this movie what she's capable of.
She has the range.
She really does. She was heartbreaking as Lee Israel.
And curmudgeon-y, but yet with a soft center.
Yes. This is, and you know, a few people, we've mentioned this on the podcast, on the vlog as well, a few people have been referring to this as a comedic role, which it is not. The fact that it's played by an actress that usually plays comedy.
These people are on something.
Yeah,
they're smoking.
It was seriously one of the saddest movies I've seen all season. It also starred Richard E. Grant.
Who was wonderful. Mm-hmm. It was almost a two-hander with him. I mean, there were other people, Dolly Wells and Jane Curtin, who were excellent and contributed quite a bit.
Yeah, but I think that mostly it was her and her and him, but really it was her. And it's Lee Israel fell on some hard times. She was a writer who wanted to write certain things.
Mm-hmm. She wrote biographies.
Yes, she wanted to write quality books. She wanted to write about big stars, and
she didn't want to write about herself.
Right, and there wasn't a big market for that, and she ended up kind of having
on
to
hard times.
Yes, and she found a solution to her financial problems,
which is what the film is about.
Right, and it was a beautifully touching film. It was very sympathetic to her. It was also based on her memoir, which she eventually wrote. You will see how she got to write that. It was just a really, really excellent movie, and Melissa McCarthy's performance is
just stunning.
Yes,
it's just breathtaking. I love her. She can do no wrong for me. I'll watch every piece of crap she's in.
Absolutely, but
I'll watch every good movie that she's in, especially.
Yes.
This is one of the finest films she's made. And, I think there's just no stopping her.
Yes, I love her.
Oh, and I love her. I mean, besides the fact that her talent is enormous, she is just such a lovely soul. I just feel...
She radiates
it. She does. She's just wonderful. And I've said this before, and I'm just going to say it again, that Lee Israel did some freelance work for Soap Opera Weekly right before this movie takes place. Yes. So I'm happy to say that we may have helped her a little bit when she was on hard times. A very little bit. We did not pay our freelancers a lot of money. But it was something. It was something. I'm sure it helped pay the rent in those days. So,
Can You Ever Forgive Me in theaters right now.
Don't miss it.
Definitely watch it.
Do not miss this film, especially if you love Melissa McCarthy.
And speaking of which, and we're not going to tell you how this relates to the movie in any way, but we have a problem.
Oh, boy, do we
What
have
do we
a
have
problem.
a problem with, Mimi?
We have a problem with animals in movies. Now,
Yes.
we love animals.
We
prefer them in most cases to people.
And we're not even talking about, what they have to do for movies, about stunt work or training or wrangling or anything like that.
We're just talking about their presence
problem.
in a movie because, and I have to say that for a while, films got better about this.
It's as if they tried to fight the trope.
Yeah. Usually when you see an animal in a movie...
Especially a pet.
Especially a beloved pet or anything that you might get any attachment to in any way,
and we do,
shape, or form,
including
by the way. An ant. We just worry through the whole movie that it's going to die because most of the times it does.
Yes. There is a problem in movies that they use animals to manipulate your emotions.
Cheap trick.
And whenever you see that an animal is featured in a movie, especially a pet, especially when they make a point to show you how
important it is to
its owner, then you know that you're gonna have your heart broken at some point. And I resent that.
Me too. For a while it was an especially big trope in horror films. And horror films were the first directors to turn that around.
Yeah.
You'd see an animal all the way through and they'd be just on the edge of some horrible death and they would not die and they would last. Sometimes they were the last thing standing.
I'm all for
the
that.
last life standing on a screen. But it seems to me that in many of these movies we've been watching, not all of them, and this might not be one of them.
No, but the point is
that we
now,
have to worry.
Yes, now if we see a pet, we immediately start worrying. And through the entire movie, sometimes it's so distracting to me that it ruins the film for me. So please, people, stop with this trope. It's boring and it's
unfair manipulation.
Unfair, really. Okay, next up is
the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Now, interestingly enough, when we saw the pilot of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, we didn't like it very much.
No, because of two reasons, I think. First of all, because the stereotypes, the Jewish stereotypes,
Which
as
still
Jews...
exist in this...
We as Jews, it's kind of like lesbians. We yearn for proper representation. We don't get much of it. And even here, Rachel Brosnahan is playing a Jew. She's not a Jew.
Right. Like you can't find any Jews in Hollywood, but that's okay.
Tony Shalhoub is playing a Jew. He's not a Jew. I
think Maren Hinkle might be.
She might be, but and definitely Alex Borstein.
Yes.
But the point is...
But she's not playing a Jew.
Yes, she is.
Oh, no.
She's not a Jew?
No, she's not
Italian?
a Jew. She's Irish, I think.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I didn't think so. Anyway, the point is, the stereotypes were so extreme. And yes, it's a comedy, and comedy
it's very stylized, and it's very specific, and
it's heightened.
It takes a minute, I think, to get used to it.
Well, in the pilot, as oftentimes the case is, the pilot is not a representation. It's what they do at the beginning when they have an idea.
To attract attention.
Right, and then they develop this idea. It becomes, more substantial.
And boy, did they develop it.
Oh, did they develop it. And really, go to our vlog that we just posted because we rave and praise Rachel Brosnahan, who is just fantastic in the script.
Well, and the look of the film and the script, the writing is so... And this year, the first season was excellent, but this season is just full of meat.
Created, by the way, by Amy Sherman-Palladino.
Right. It's just I'm telling you, you take a bite out of it, you have something substantial
and
there.
I love the relationship between Susie, Mrs. Maisel and Susie, Rachel Brosnahan and Alex Borstein, which is more developed in the second season as well.
Yes, it's really, really good. There's still... crazy stereotypes, but the characters are much more developed. And
they oftentimes get a chance to show other sides
of them. This year, the series went to Paris, and it went to the Catskills. Yes, talk about diametrically opposed settings. Yeah. It pulled out all the stops, and every show was delicious. It was. I keep on bringing food references because it is, after all, about Jews, and that means it's about a lot of food.
Yeah.
And it's. Rachel Brosnahan is just miraculous. She is a genius. Yeah. I really have to say, this character has to do so many things, be so many people, have so much talent, and she just does it backwards and in heels.
Yes.
I mean,
And a
really,
corset.
and a corset,
Yes.
right? Which
we really, really couldn't recommend it more highly. Go binge. If you haven't seen the first season, go binge on both of them. It's a delight. It's really
it really
like,
is. It's just a
like
great
cake
show,
with fluffy
and we
whipped
were
cream
very
on top.
happy to read that waistline is not
No, it's a corset.
natural. Yes,
Though poor Rachel Brosnahan.
Yes, though she still is tiny.
Very tiny. Anyway, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is on Amazon Prime now. Go watch it. It's an original Amazon show. We have a couple of very short, I would say reviews, but they're actually recommendations. Unfortunately, we do not like doing this. We really, really hate doing this. We know how much money, energy, love, how much people put into movies and shows, and when it doesn't work out, it's really devastating to everybody. And I'm sure that their intentions were, all the right intentions were there. But the next two movies that we're going to talk about tried and flopped, in our opinion. They're both movies that open in January 4th. It says that they open in theaters. I mean, January is a very slow month, but I hardly can imagine that they would last long in theaters.
An excellent cast.
On both movies. They actually have a lot in common in that respect. The first movie is called State Like Sleep, written and directed by Meredith Dunlock, and starring Catherine Watterson, who is Sam Watterson's daughter.
Which is probably why she's working.
Michael Shannon, Mary Kay Place. So again, very familiar, well-known, good actors.
I have to say personally, and this, so I just have to say this because maybe it colored my feelings about this.
No, I was there with you.
I just loathed Catherine Watterson on sight.
As an actress.
As an actress, yes, not as a human being. When I saw her in Alien Covenant, which was a movie I was predisposed to love, there's just something to... First of all, she's like a sleepwalker. She has absolutely almost no affect.
Yeah.
I just don't like her.
She didn't bring anything to the role.
She's like a black hole.
She was boring. She was one note, one expression, which,
covered in bangs.
The title, State Like Sleep, should maybe mean that she was supposed to play it like that, but still, there are many things that one can play to still bring some variety to the role.
What is a state like sleep, anyway?
I would think that it's like Sleep Like State. Maybe. But anyway, I can tell you what it's about, but I couldn't really tell you what it's about. It's about a woman.
No, it goes nowhere.
It goes nowhere. It has no point to it. It's a woman whose husband is a well-known actor. He dies in kind of... She thinks mysterious.
Yeah, they think he commits suicide. That's.
But she actually goes further to see if maybe he didn't.
Right.
And then she finds out what kind of a double life he was leading that she wasn't aware of. But honestly, the story goes nowhere. It's a bore from beginning to end.
Mary Kay Place was very
she's
good
wonderful
as her mother.
She always is.
Michael Shannon was completely wasted.
Yep. It was kind of surprising. I mean, he may have done somebody a favor by doing this movie. I don't know.
I'm sure he did someone a favor by doing this movie.
It was... I still really can't tell you what the point of the movie was. There was no point of the movie. To the movie, I felt like it was a waste.
We just couldn't wait for it to be over.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. Again, I feel so bad. I hate giving this kind of reviews. But this is State Like Sleep. And then the next one. Being
Rose, starring Sybil Shepherd, writer-director Rod McCall. And it's about a widowed ex-cop who learns that she has a life-threatening disease. We never learn exactly what it is. I thought it was probably
the symptoms were kind of
ALS,
vague.
but
I don't
really
think it was.
She started to deteriorate. It did not seem like ALS. Anyway, she goes on a road trip in her motorized wheelchair to explore the beauty of the Southwest, which is, in this case, New Mexico, and it is breathtaking.
And it's shot beautifully. I mean,
it's gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
It stars Sybil Shepherd, James Brolin, Barbara's husband. I always think of him as, even though I've always loved James Brolin since Marcus Welby days, and Pam Grier, who I'm always happy to see and always brings a lot of light, and also Cindy Pickett, a fellow Texan. It's just deadly, and I don't mean because she has a life-threatening disease. Not life-threatening. I mean, it's a disease that's going to kill her. It is as slow as her motorized wheelchair. It's however long you think it would take someone to cross New Mexico in a motorized wheelchair. That's about the pace of the movie.
And it's not even just that. It's the fact that when something was going on, the script was awful.
Such bad writing. Sybil Shepherd, absolutely. She has her mouth in this one little tight line that hardly changes throughout
from
the
beginning
film.
to end, she plays it with the same
And
affect.
she plays it with the same affect, even when she falls in love
Though I
with
love
a
Sybil
handsome...
Shepherd,
oh, yes,
by the
me
way.
too. She falls in love with a handsome cowboy. Age appropriate, James Brolin, who I would fall in love with too. He is, he's just epitomizes the American West kind of a guy. Pam Grier is someone she meets along the way in a spa.
Doesn't have enough to do.
And Cindy Pickett is one of her best friends. She has a group of friends in this tiny little town in New Mexico where she lives.
The way that this movie was edited, it seemed like a student film. It seemed like somebody who was editing something for the first time. It
seemed like
very
a student film with a very accomplished cinematographer.
The cinematography
I have to say, it was gorgeous
great
to look at.
But the whole movie, besides the cinematography, was Z grade. I mean, really,
it was simply awful.
And I'm sorry again to give this review. It was again a potentially interesting story that went nowhere, that went there fast, but slow at the same
exactly. And Sybil Shepherd, Liron read an interview.
Yes, and she said it was like the pinnacle. She considers it the crown
jewel in her career.
Yeah.
Sybil, I don't know if dementia is setting in, but don't forget the first movie you made, Last Picture Show, one of the greatest films in history.
It could be
in modern history, and you were wonderful in it.
It could be that acting in it felt differently, and she hadn't seen the final results yet.
Maybe.
Anyway,
I don't know why acting in it would have felt.
I don't know. Being Rose is in theaters January 4th. Unfortunately, we recommend not to bother.
Unless you're a James Brolin fan.
Now, every now and then, this is called Lady Parts, and we are all about the women, but every now and then, something comes along that doesn't have much to do with women, but is really, really worth our while and worth your time
and this
talking
season,
about it.
2 films came along that we saw that are like this. And
we're also talking about them a little bit on the vlog, so go ahead.
Yes, we'll just cover them briefly here. The Green Book. One of the most delicious films. Again, delicious. I must be hungry. I
You
did
must
just eat
be.
breakfast. A really beautiful film directed by Peter Farrelly, written by Nick Vallelonga, Brian Hayes Curry, and Peter Farrelly. All starring Viggo Mortensen, Mahershala Ali, and Linda Cardinelli, who was delightful to see.
Yes.
It's about Don Shirley, one of the greatest piano virtuosos of our time. I grew up with his jazz music mostly in our house. He makes a tour to the South. It's in the 60s, I think. And he needs, very desperately, to have a bodyguard, which Viggo Mortensen does very handily. And the Green Book refers to a book that was written in that time during the Jim Crow era that was a travel guide for African Americans, for black people to know where they were allowed to stay and eat.
I didn't know that such a book
I
existed.
didn't know it either. And it's a real thing, and it was green, and it was a lifesaver, literally, for black Americans traveling through, especially the South. And it is a really sublime film. It's based on truth.
Yep.
And the relationship between the two men is lovely and
beautiful performances,
progressive, and you will learn a lot about again in America you're not too fond of, but
let's make America great again, shall we?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. I think that's what he's heading towards.
Yes.
Anyway. Go see it. It will make you feel good.
And it's
most
great
of the
music,
time.
by the way.
Fabulous music. Fabulous virtuoso performance by Mahershala Ali. And very, very excellent Viggo Mortensen.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Me too. Every minute of it.
It made me feel good. I know it's such a cliche. It was a feel-good movie, but with an important subject matter, important message, and again, had nothing to do with women. Which usually, for me, it's like, why bother?
Well, Linda Cardinelli had a little bit of a something, and she was charming.
Tiny.
This is the best performance I think Mahershala has ever given. Mahershala. It's different from anything he's done before, and it really shows what a great actor he is.
Green Book in theaters now, and another movie that has nothing to do with women.
Absolutely nothing to do except for one.
It's called Blackkkklansman, and it's actually out of theaters, I guess, by now, but you can rent it on Amazon.
And there's a couple of women. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Right, yes, there are a couple of women actually in this one. Actually, they feature more than in Green Book. Mm-hmm. It's directed by Spike Lee, I can't say I saw too many of his films because
I've seen many of them, and I'm not really a fan of his. I find him usually
until now
highly manipulative. This film just knocked my socks off.
The writers are Charlie Watchell, David Rabinowitz, Kevin Wilmot, and Spike Lee. It took a village to write this movie.
Yep, I think it's Wachtel, but that's okay.
Okay, and it is based on a book by Ron Stallworth, who is also the star, the lead character of this movie,
played by
Ron David Washington.
Oh, yes.
Wonderful performance. And at first, when you hear about it, was about an African American police officer from Colorado Springs who infiltrates the Ku Klux Klan, and you're like, how the fuck did he do that?
Did he wear a sheet the whole time?
But it's actually a very clever ruse, and he uses Adam Driver
as his alter ego,
his fellow Jewish cop.
Yep.
So that's not an easy feat either, because even though he was white and could pass, he was Jewish and could barely tolerate standing near these people, let alone be part of them or pretend to be part of them. It also based on a true story, brilliant story.
And directed flawlessly, acted flawlessly, shot fantastically, written magnificently. It is a superb film.
And I have to tell you, throughout the film, which is very humorous, by the way,
very funny,
and since it happened in the past, and how it ended, pretty much. I mean, pretty much. Not really, but
now, there were fine people on both sides.
Well, and that's where I was headed. You're able to really enjoy the film because you're rooting for the guys that you are pretty sure are going to be okay, and then in the end, the last 3 minutes of the movie, which are actually current, just manage to make
you in the stomach.
Yes,
it does. It's like a gut punch.
Yes, and I think that is in part. Truly, Spike Lee's greatest achievement in this movie, that he managed to make that movie all about the past, and in the last 2 minutes,
bring it home,
just really knock it out. And it was very powerful, very, very powerful. Blackkkklansman, people, I urge you to see it. It's an important film.
Absolutely love it. Even if you have any reservations for God knows what reason.
But it really is an important movie.
It's an important movie, and it's a highly entertaining, beautifully made film.
Yes.
Beautifully made film.
Yes. Finally, before we wrap this up, I really just want to mention the mid-season finale, part 1.
Coming back to real life.
Part 1, yes, exactly. Keeping up with the end of Blackkkklansman. Blackkkklansman. Madam Secretary had a mid-season finale, part 1. The premiere of the next mid-season will be part 2, which was all about the very important, very much not ended
and horrific
subject of the separation of the kids, the immigrant kids at the border from their parents, and how they are kept in cages that are not even, I think, worthy of keeping.
I think our zoos treat our animals better than these children are treated. I really, really do.
It is. I mean, and I wrote here to remind myself that we had just before that watched a show where a man was cutting off another man's body into pieces. And the Madam Secretary episode was the one that horrified me that night.
And that was real life, too.
That was real life, too. But
we could have cared less. We didn't. It was...
It doesn't matter. Visually seeing a man cutting another man's body into pieces, which should have horrified me. And it did. And then watching Madam Secretary and watching these kids and how they're being treated and knowing that it's real.
The acting, by the way, is wonderful.
Yeah. And the writing. Madam Secretary is a superb show,
highly intelligent and also very emotional.
That is so important, especially right now. And I'm so happy it's still on the air. I hope it keeps going. Also, very much run by women.
Absolutely, and needless to say, Elizabeth McCord is once again on the right side of history.
Can we have her as our president?
Oh, please.
Téa Leoni is wonderful. But really, it was so disturbing, but an important reminder because, in this nowadays with the news cycle being constantly coming up with new things for us to rage about.
And the border is the centerpiece right now.
I know, but the story about the kids has kind of dissipated.
Got lost a little bit until this little boy just died.
2.
No.
Two died.
Okay, yes, I knew. The little
Yeah.
girl died several weeks ago. But
Yeah.
we have so it did stir it up. It's too
Yeah.
bad a child has to die for it to
Yes.
come back into the forefront of our news cycles. But something has to be done.
Yeah. So thank you, Madam Secretary, for always being on the front line of showing really the important stuff. And for providing a semi-alternative reality where the good people win.
Yes, actually, our government in this
show
is good.
This was a rogue Arizona governor.
Governor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now, before we leave, I just want to tell you that, in case you don't know, in case you haven't heard yet, on January 1st, I, Liron, am launching a new podcast with my dear friend Karine Eli. It's called Changing the Conversation About Eating Disorders, and it is kind of what it says. We are going to hopefully start a new conversation about eating disorders because we're not liking the conversation right now. And Karine is a professional medical anthropologist who has dedicated her career to the research of eating disorders, and I have personal experience with eating disorders, and we've been friends for 35 years, and we've been having this conversation between the two of us for all this time, and we thought, let's share it. So please follow our Lady Parts social media, and I will definitely post how you can listen to it all the very many ways on launch day, which is January 1st. And now
very worthy effort. Really excellent.
Thank you, my love. I didn't at all pay her to say that.
No, she doesn't pay me. I'd accept, but it wouldn't change my opinion.
And on that note, we will wish you a very, very happy, wonderful New Year.
Happy, healthy, prosperous, free.
On a personal and
wonderful,
global level.
Yes,
really.
Happy New Year.
We really need a 2019 to take it to the next level, please.
The next level
of goodness.
Of goodness.
No. Yeah.
Not,
we don't need to make anybody great again. We just need to be reminded what great is.
That's right.
All right, everybody. We'll see you in the new year. Bye.